He played in 385 NHL games during his playing career. He was an assistant coach with the Iowa Wild for 3 seasons before jumping into the NHL as an assistant coach with the Minnesota Wild. He then moved up to head coach with Iowa and held that role for the previous 2 years. Most importantly to myself, he is a fellow Islander, born in Comox, British Columbia, home of Goose Spit Park. Brett McLean is our guest today on the Canucks Insider Podcast. Welcome back to BC, Brett. We're excited to get you on here.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
So you grew up in Comox. What was it like growing up on the island? Because I got some great memories myself growing up there.
Yeah, a great place to be growing up. I don't think there's anywhere better, really. Comox Valley, I believe the slogan is the recreation capital of Canada, and it's true. You can do everything there from fishing to skiing to just playing outside almost year-round. It really embodies the West Coast lifestyle.
Yeah. So Mount Washington's up there. You a skier, snowboarder? Did you pick one back then?
I really did that. It was more in our family. If you were going to play hockey, then you weren't going to be able to really ski. So all of us chose hockey, and obviously very thankful we did.
So over the past few years, spent some time in Minnesota. What was it like living there? Another kind of hockey crazy place. So this probably coming to Vancouver is probably not too much of a shock, kind of dealing with the fans a little bit for you now.
Yeah, they call it the state of hockey, and it is that. It really feels like Canada in many ways when you live in Minnesota. Yeah, we loved our time there, but again, couldn't be happier to be back in British Columbia.
So what kind of brought you to wanting to be a coach? Because you did it at a pretty young age and get into coaching, and just kind of curious your journey there and what kind of led you to it. What things about coaching do you like so much?
Yeah, when toward the end of my playing career, I didn't know what I wanted to do next, and I actually didn't think I wanted to coach due to the fact that in playing, you have to move so much, and I had to move our family so much, and didn't think I wanted to do that after my playing career ended. So our family moved back to Kelowna and thought we were just going to take about a year to decide what we wanted to do next. Well, after about 6 weeks, I was bouncing off the walls, and my wife looked at me and said, "You got to get yourself a job because you following me to the grocery store isn't helping anything here." So I looked around and was lucky enough to get the job in Iowa as an assistant coach. And really what I found was, as I was preparing for the interview for that job, it just really lit a fire in me that I just wanted to coach, wanted to help young men realize their dreams to play pro hockey. And so I feel very, very lucky that I was able to get that job right out of playing, and that I was able to kind of find my passion right after playing.
Well, it's interesting you say, like, kind of get that fire again. And it has to be almost like a different fire, right? When you're behind the bench. How different was it from being a player to kind of transitioning to a coach? Like, what were some things that you kind of, maybe something that you appreciated more when you were kind of behind the bench instead of sitting on it?
Yeah, I think probably just the sacrifice that all the players have to make. And I think that's an advantage of going right from playing to coaching, is that always try to keep that in mind. That it's hard to play pro hockey. It's really difficult, especially at the National Hockey League level, right? Like it's the margins are so small, and these players sacrifice so much and give so much. It's hard to block a shot, right? It's hard to go out there and fight for your teammate, and these guys do that each and every night. So I think that's probably the one thing that I really try to always keep is the respect for the players and what they are asked to do each and every day.
So I know you're going to be working with the forwards a ton this year. Let me bring up a stat line from when you played for the Notre Dame Hounds U15 team. You had 109 goals and 124 assists for 233 points in 71 games. I like asking players this. What was it like playing in those games back then when you're like a 3-point per game type of guy and just having that much fun playing hockey? It's got to just be ridiculous.
It was a blast. And that was a lot due to the team that we had. We had a heck of a team. Another British Columbian, Todd Robinson, was actually on that team too. And I think he had more points than I did actually that year. Our team was really, really good. We just, and so that was more of that. I remember we came out to the big Abbotsford Matsqui tournament was back then. That was a huge Bantam tournament. We won that one that season, and so yeah, it was fun time scoring that much, that's for sure.
Where did the love of hockey start for you then? Because I mean, at that point, you're probably obsessed with the game already at kind of 14, 15 years old. But how did it all start for you, and who kind of got you into it, or how did this love for hockey develop for you?
Yeah, well, I was the youngest of 3 boys growing up, so I was just trying to keep up with my 2 older brothers. They played hockey like every Canadian boy, and so we just that's where it all started. And then of course it was watching, growing up in BC, it was watching Stan Smeal and then Trevor Linden and listening to Jim Robson's play-by-play and just all those great Canuck teams and players. 1994 was actually the first year that was that season, I think, of the U15 year. So watching the Canucks go to the final, things like that were just what really got that passion going.
Awesome. I always laugh when it's like the youngest brother. I feel like they always get stuck playing goal. So how did you get out of not being a goaltender for the brothers to shoot on?
Great question. My middle brother, Kevin, he was the one that wanted to play goal. So there you go. That's how I got out of it. And then I have my older brother, Sean, who was always the one taking care of me.
Yeah. So I know what it's like living on the island and trying to get over here for a game. Do you have any memories of being young and coming over for some games in Vancouver?
Only one. We came to one game and it was at Christmas. We got the tickets from my parents. I can't remember exact age. It was over here for a tournament, which is always a big deal, as you know. They're coming over to the Big Smoke when you're coming to Vancouver from Royston, and so we came over and got to go to a game, and I'll never forget walking into Pacific Coliseum and seeing the scoreboard and the skate logo was up on the scoreboard and just seeing it and the excitement I had and so that's a great memory.
Well, I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah,
you chose to come here to Vancouver and be a coach. I know you probably had some options out there.
Yeah.
How cool is that? How cool is it to be a Vancouver Canuck now? It sounds like it was something you kind of grew up loving and getting a chance to circle back. It's got to be a pretty cool feeling for you.
Yeah, very, very, very special. And so when this came up, it was honestly almost surreal for my family and I to have the opportunity to come back home and be a part of the Vancouver Canucks coaching staff. I would have never dreamed that even a few weeks ago. I would have never thought that was possible. So it's very, very special for us all to be back here.
That's awesome. And I guess, obviously, you know the history. You know how much hockey means to this city. I mean, like, that's got to be a kind of interesting perspective coming as a coach, kind of really understanding what this is all about here for Canucks fans.
Yeah. I've been through all the ups and downs, just like all of our great fans. So I understand it, and quite often, most places, my nickname is Kirk, obviously, with the same spelling as Kirk McLean. So, I've been through it all with our fans and look forward to being a part of it now.
That's awesome. I wanted to ask about the kind of last bit of your playing career. You went off and played in Switzerland. And I was talking to Scott Young, actually, about this right after we wrapped up doing the pod. And we talked about Switzerland, the Swiss League. I find that league one of my favorite leagues to watch. I think the forechecking's incredibly fast. There's just the pace that you have to play on that league. What was it like kind of first going over to Europe and kind of experiencing how different is the brand of hockey? Because when I'm watching it on a screen, I'm like, man, it feels like not a different sport, but definitely a different brand of hockey. What did you think about it?
Yeah, it was great, obviously, but it is different. And it's challenging when you first go there to adjust even just to the little things of, most players don't speak English as their first language, being an import player. I was lucky before I went to Switzerland. I'd played in Sweden during the lockout in 04, 05, and I think where that really helped me was I had a huge respect for how good the players were in Europe. I think a lot of players coming from the NHL that are from Canada or the US don't respect how good those leagues are over there. And so I knew how good it was. I knew I wasn't going to go over there and dominate, and I certainly didn't. And it took me a few months to really adjust to the game over there. They can all skate, they all play hard. Structure is very, very good, and the Swiss league. It's very fun to play in because it's the stands are packed almost every game. They're singing. It's that soccer culture, right, where the fans are singing, and it was again a lot of great memories playing in Switzerland and over in Europe in general.
Yeah, it's cool to watch. Like even the fireworks sometimes when a goal gets scored in some of those leagues, like it just really goes crazy. I think during that time, I'm curious, guys, you're kind of wrapping up your playing career. Is that when you start to kind of think about coaching at that point a little bit? Or I guess you say you kind of had to step away from the game to figure it out. But at that point, was it in the back of your mind at all that you kind of wanted to do something?
There was always times. I was actually I think it was last 4 seasons I played. I was the oldest player on my team, so I was probably coaching a little bit without even knowing it, right? I was a liaison kind of between the team and the coaches, so I think I was. And there were some thoughts on coaching or systems I would kind of jot down here and there, but again, like we said off the top, I didn't want to ask my family to move that much, and then here we are 9 years later. I've asked my family to move 4 times, but that's the hockey life, and it's given us all so much that we're very thankful for that.
So one of the challenges for you this season is going to be working with the power play, and you can call it a challenge, you can call it a privilege, I guess, at some point for you. But looking at some of the names that you're going to be able to work with, you got Quinn Hughes at the top here, you got Pedersen, DeBrusk, some of these players who have been able to have a strong power play career at the NHL level. For you, what's the excitement level to come in and just dive in on this power play and kind of get to work with them?
Yeah, no, I mean, you said it very well. I'm excited. I can't wait to get going with these guys and really take a deep dive into it and into their strengths and over the summer, and then really get to know them too, and get to know kind of how the power plays clicked here in the past, and how we can work with it and adjust it and make sure that it really thrives for our team. But yeah, you just mentioned some names there. That's as a coach, you really are very, very happy to work with these players. So, really looking forward to that aspect.
Well, I'll mention two more names with Daniel and Henrik Sedin, obviously some guys who are pretty damn good on the power play as well, and you get a chance to work with them. What are you going to try and do to kind of pick their brains a little bit to have them included? Because I know that's something Adam's talked about, of just, bringing in their expertise, especially on the power play, to work with you. So for you, you probably would have liked to be a winger on the line with those two, but now you get them for a power play coach support. What are you going to try and do with those two guys?
Well, that's a pretty simple answer: as much as I can. Right. I'm gonna pick their brain as much as I possibly can, and use their knowledge. And I want to hear exactly what they have to say each and every day. And that's the thing. Even though as a coach, I'm working with the power play quite a bit. It's a collaboration with all the coaching staff. It's our power play that includes the players. Like, it's got to be a collaboration. And of course, there's got to be someone leading that. Probably be my voice doing it quite a bit. Adam, of course, is the final voice in that. But having the Sedins as a huge asset for our coaching staff is great for us. And obviously, I'm very much looking forward to that.
Definitely. And then now you come in here this week, get a chance to meet kind of face-to-face with all the coaches. What's it been like here for the past couple of days? Just, I guess, probably first time face-to-face with a few that you guys, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that we really don't know each other, but hockey guys are hockey guys. And we just get in a room, we start talking, and it just goes from there. So it's been the word I would use is it's been very natural. We've just come in and we just hit the ground running, and it's been very easy, and we're already establishing here after less than 2 days the type of team we all want it to look like, how we want to play. And so it's been a really, really positive first 2 days here as a staff.
Awesome. And with all the coaching experience you have already, I'm curious if you can look back at yourself and your coaching career and say, what are you better at today more than anything than you were on day one of being a coach? Like, what is something today that you feel really confident about yourself as a coach?
Yeah, I think the nice thing about coaching, the great thing is you just keep growing, and it never stops. Like, even the best coaches in the world, they're still growing, they're still learning. So I think for me, the one area that I've gotten much better at is just, again, using the collaboration of the staff and understanding that, I have my ideas and thoughts, but those can be used, and make sure to express those, especially as an assistant coach, to the head coach, but really listen to the other coaches, listen to the players, and make sure that the decisions that are being made they have everyone's voice and everyone's opinion in that.
And how have you known Adam Foote? Like, was there much before kind of this week, or like conversations kind of leading up with interviews? Did you know him before this, or is this just kind of meeting him and running with him now?
Yeah, really interesting story. When he moved to Kelowna, he was building a house there, and it was late in being finished, so he rented our house. Actually, it was the first time we met. I was still playing in Europe, so he rented our house, so that's how we got to know him and his family. And then, here we are years later. So that's kind of how it all started. So I'm really happy that I didn't gouge him on price. So it worked out better in the long run.
He's giving you back the power play for the cheap price, I guess.
There you go.
I guess if you've known him for a while and now getting a chance to work on a staff with him, what are some things that stick out about him that you're excited to be working with?
Well, even first time I met him, natural leader, just a natural leader of men. And so that's the first thing that sticks out. I knew that because we just missed each other with Colorado in there. So I already knew that about him. You can see that in how he plays. But also the other thing outside of the natural leadership is just his passion for hockey, and just how much he loves teaching and loves helping players grow, and loves putting a team together and getting that group to work together. We've talked a lot about that these last couple of days. So those are two things that really stand out right when you first meet him and get to know him.
Right. So you missed him in Colorado, but you did get a chance to play with Joe Sakic, someone he speaks extremely highly of. Another local guy here. What was it like kind of getting a chance to play with Joe? I've heard a lot of great stories about him. It's just as a leader and as a guy who, leader in the room, but also leader on the ice as well.
Just an unbelievable human. I'm lucky enough. I don't know how I got this lucky, but I sat beside him for 2 years,
Wow.
the 2 years there. So just to soak all that up and see. And the biggest thing about Joe, we all know he's such a great player. Obviously, manager too. But the biggest thing with him is just how he treats everyone so well. And I learned so much from him that I remember walking in the summer, walking into the Avalanche's locker room. The first time I got there with my bag over my shoulder, and he came right up to me, shook my hand. First person came right up, shook my hand. And I just remember that trickled throughout the entire team. And he treated everyone in the building, everyone that he met, the exact same way as he would treat Rob Blake or Adam Foote, his teammates that he won Stanley Cups with. And so I took that always to this day. Whenever I walk into a locker room and I don't know someone, I don't know their face, I go up to them and I shake their hand, introduce myself. It's little things like that I really learned from Joe.
So I guess that's got to be an exciting thing for you now with all these new players coming in, right? Like come into this room and you get all these guys. What's kind of the first few stages for you of meeting a player aside from a handshake?
Yeah, well, it's just important to just talk to the players, and just so that they understand, and then make sure that they know that the truth is that we care about them. We want them to succeed and do well, and we're not just here to push them as hard as we can, right? Because everybody's going through something that we don't know about, and everybody has different challenges, and everybody has things to work on, and they also have their strengths. So just, try to make it natural so that you're just getting to know these players, because you're not going to, in one conversation, you're not going to get to know them that well. And so that's really important, especially as an assistant coach, is trying to establish that connection with the players that you're working with, so that they can trust you.
Yeah. Curious to get your perspective on this, just the way that the game of hockey is evolving, and maybe specifically even watching teams throughout these playoffs here, in this most recent playoff that we just watched. Just your thoughts on how offensive generation is something that's maybe changed, and something like that you think that you want to kind of establish with this Canucks team now in this next season.
Yeah, I think you hear everybody say it, playing fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? And then you hear everybody say playing connected. What does that mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you look at Florida, they just have a team that they know exactly what they're doing. They're coming, right? Their D are pinching down on everything. Their forwards are tracking back extremely hard. So that's playing fast, right? When they know they're trusting each other, they're in the other team's face. They know there's somebody at the net offensively all the time. They know they're going to put pucks in there. And then when they turn the puck over, they're coming back and they're looking to get it back as quick as they possibly can. And they all do it together. And the biggest thing about them, again, in Legion, Florida, as a prime, the team to talk about is that their top players they're doing exactly what the team needs to do. Right? So when your top players are doing that, in Barkov and Tkachuk, everyone else falls in line and does it the right way. So that's why they're really kind of a prime example of that creating offense right now.
Because there's been a lot of talk, especially in this market here, about establishing a structure here in the past couple of years, and we've seen that have some success for the team. And then last year was a little bit of a difficult one. So I'm curious how you kind of balance, or how you kind of approach structure. Like, I know that when you're playing offense, you got to be creative, you got to be loose to a degree, but the way you just talked about Florida there, that offense and the way it worked for them to win a Stanley Cup feels pretty structured as well. So I'm curious how you kind of find that balance offensively.
For sure. So you've got it. And again, away from the puck, you obviously need to have total structure, but there's got to be freedom within your offensive structure too, right? To allow players to make different plays and certain plays. And so obviously Florida has that. And all the top teams have that. So for us, we're going to establish our concepts, establish our beliefs and how we want to play, especially offensively, and then within that, the players they're going to have freedom to make plays and allow all these talented players to make those plays. Obviously, we've got a prime example of one of the best defensemen in the world, in Quinn Hughes, and he's he's going to make certain plays that other players just can't make.
Yeah.
And so, but he's going to know where his teammates are going to be, and then within that system, he's going to be able to make those great plays that we've all seen him make.
Yeah, and with another coach coming in, Kevin Dean as well. I'm curious, did you rent a house off him? Have you met him before or anything like that?
I've not met him before. Yeah.
So you're coming in, so kind of just this has been the first chance to kind of sit down with him and get a chance to meet him, I guess, over this week here, the last little bit?
Yep, last couple of days, and yeah, just I can see why everyone speaks so highly of him. Just has a great demeanor and obviously very smart hockey mind, and yeah, again we've connected right off the start.
That's awesome. It must be an interesting like coming in here and meeting everyone for the first time. You're like, I'm about to spend every damn day with these guys for like the next 200 days. So it's got to be an interesting kind of setup here. But I guess just for you, the excitement level to get with this Canucks team, and especially after a year where so many guys head into the offseason hungry as hell to get back to playoffs, and we saw last year was a little bit of a difficult one for a lot of guys. For you, what is it like to know the players have that hunger heading into this season?
That's huge, right? That's what I think we feel like. We've got a group that knows it's good and knows that it can win and should win, but obviously didn't get the results that anyone wanted last season. So that's a exciting team to coach, because that fire should really be there, and that desire to do that extra little bit that you have to do to be a good team in the National Hockey League it should definitely be there, and it will definitely be there. So that'll be our task now as a coaching staff to kind of lead that and make sure that everything's put into place to allow those players, again, that freedom within our structure to really take off.
That's awesome. I kind of asked about it a little bit earlier, but just like your pride in now being a Vancouver Canuck, I just want to ask about that now, because I mean, listen, I grew up on the island. I work for the Canucks now. I love it. I think it's awesome. And for you to now be a coach and be with the Canucks, like, what does it mean to you to just get back here and now have a chance to really help this team get to the playoffs, something you probably watched as a kid and were hoping for?
Yeah, well, it's again, very, very special. And even just yesterday, I just walked down the hall a bunch of times and looked at all the pictures. I mean, that was my childhood.
Yeah.
Right? I remember every single one of those goals or saves. And so that's that just makes it really just an honor to be here and to be a part of the Canucks, and so just try to do my little part in this machine, and really try to make the fans proud and get the Canucks back to where we want them to be.
Yeah. Well, with you spending time in Kelowna, like it's kind of hockey central, part of BC out there with everybody in the off season. So like, I'm curious to get your thoughts on just, you look at the draft the last 2 years, first overall picks are both from Vancouver. Where do you think the state of hockey is right now for BC?
Yeah, well, so I've got a boy that's going to be 14 very soon, and so he's coming into it, and his goal next year is to get drafted in the WHL draft, right? So it's a big year for him, and as I'm kind of learning about all this stuff, to your point, kind of a lot of the top young players are coming out of Vancouver right now and coming out of BC. So I'm excited to kind of see what BC hockey's doing and for the youth players, because obviously what they're doing out here is fantastic. All these young players are getting drafted first overall or very, very high and are doing outstanding. So exciting to see all these great young British Columbian players.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Did you grow up doing much fishing around here? Anything like that? Do you ever do that?
So we grew up very close to the ocean, but we weren't big fishermen. One of my best friends growing up, Brooke Peterson, he's a big fisherman in his family. So I used to go with him a bit. But our youngest son, Nash, has just got into fishing.
Really?
Just loves it. He's just hooked on it. That's all he wants to do. So we're going to get into that when we get back here.
Nice. So when you get back to the island, what are the first things you got to do when you get there?
Back to Comox Valley?
Just back to the island or wherever you end up doing there.
Well, we always go to Kai Bay, and just gorgeous little bay there in Comox, just by the airport. So that's always on our list. When the tide goes out there a couple kilometers, and we'll just hang out on the beach all day with our family, and then just kind of connect with my parents and friends when we're there, and just do as much as we can outside, because every time we go away and then come back, I just don't forget, but it's nice to be reminded of how beautiful it is here and how great the lifestyle is.
Yeah, well, and it's funny too, because a lot of the guys in the offseason, they're like, oh, we're doing Tofino, we're all doing Tofino. Everybody has to do Tofino, but I'm telling you, like all up and down the island, they got great beaches everywhere. It's just been awesome to kind of spend your summers.
Yeah.
I guess just now kind of approaching the season, going to training camp here, what's something you want to establish early on as a coach of this team?
Well, again, I think it's important to do it as a staff. I think that's huge. But I think if we can go back to just really that playing fast, ending plays quickly, really getting up and down the ice very, very fast, I think that'll be kind of with the structure we're planning on putting into the team. Will really be kind of end plays quickly, get going with the puck north fast. That's definitely, just talking with the other coaches here and Adam, we all have that thought, and that's an area that we're really, really going to focus on.
That's awesome. And it's interesting too, and we'll wrap up on this, but like, you come in here, Foote's obviously worked with the defense in the past. Kevin's had worked with the defense in the past. How much you put on your shoulders to be working with these forwards, just in kind of, whether it's skills things or just kind of chatting with them during the game? Like, I feel like a lot of that's going to end up falling on your shoulders during a game and situation.
Yeah, but obviously with Younger here too, and Jason Krog and the Sedins, there's plenty of great forwards in that coach's room. So it's definitely going to be all of us, but it's something I take great pride in. And I think that's also really something I love about being an assistant coach, which is because obviously I was a head coach, like you said, the last couple of years. Is just as an assistant, just getting to work with the individual player and getting to really connect with that individual player and working on wall work, working on their shot release. Those little details, they're just so huge in our game. And that's one thing that I'm really, really excited about to get to focus on here with the forwards.
That's awesome. And I hear from a player's perspective of like when they're going out for early work or staying late after practice. I haven't really asked a coach about this. Like when you see a player who's out there early, out there late, what does it mean to a coach?
Yeah, it's great. You want to see it. Just, obviously we're always going to be there to work with the players as long as they want. And so when a player takes that initiative, it's great. And honestly, almost all the players to get to this level, they're doing that, right? If they're not doing it during the season, it's because they're probably resting and they're because of the demands of the schedule. So when you see a player that just wants to continue to get better and work on their game, that's exactly what you're hoping for as a coach.
Yeah. Well, Brett, appreciate you taking some time today. Canucks fans are always saying, bring the local guys home. We got one here with you coming back to be with your Vancouver Canucks. So wishing you best of luck throughout the season. And I'm sure we'll do this again down the road, but thanks for taking the time today.
Thank you very much. This was a blast.
Awesome.
Thanks, buddy.